Let's chat gluten. Hello, welcome to She Knows with Rosie, where we cover all things wellness, health and weight loss, specializing in plant-based weight loss for women. We're going to recap a little bit of our last gluten video. As mentioned, there's so much to cover. It's quite a hot topic. I've separated it into 3 different videos. So we're on part 2 now. So if you haven't seen part 1 yet, please click the link and you can just get up to speed with where we are on part 2, and then you can watch part 3 that will be coming up next week. Our main topics for today, we are going to recap what gluten is, examples of gluten, leaky gut simplified, genetics and epigenetics. Okay, let's start with recapping what gluten actually is. Gluten is the protein molecule in gluten-containing grains, and gliadin and gluten, to get technical, is your gluten that you know today, and it gives the sticky, elastic texture that we love to most baked goods. Now that we know what gluten is, let's just look at a couple of examples that you can, when you do your shopping, actually know, does this contain gluten or does this not contain gluten? Let's start with gluten grains. So we have wheat, rye, barley, spelt, and wheat that includes all things whole wheat, everything. Cereals, flours, pasta, bread, pizzas, baked goods, all of that, that's gluten. Your non-gluten grains would be rice, quinoa, teff, sorghum, millet, buckwheat, amaranth, gluten-free pasta, and gluten-free oats. Consuming gluten unknowingly or knowingly does have an effect on your small intestine, and when consuming gluten often over time, there is an effect that it can have, and I'll explain to you because people throw the word leaky gut around because it just sort of covers such a wide spectrum of things. But when it comes to gluten, let me explain as simple as possible what leaky gut is, and when containing gluten foods, how this can contribute to leaky gut. The cells that line your small intestine have become damaged, and spaces between them, called tight junctions, have been opened, and they've opened up too wide. Increased intestinal permeability openings now allow undigested food particles, bacteria, yeast, parasites to flow directly into the bloodstream. And if this creates inflammation, immune imbalances, and poor absorption of vitamin or minerals. Hello metabolic syndrome, so like type 2 diabetes or hypertension. Hello neurologic diseases such as ADHD and epilepsy. Hello autoimmune disorders, so that's all Alzheimer's, arthritis, etc. We can now see how leaky gut can be, or how gluten can contribute to leaky gut, and how leaky gut affects your entire system. It is all interlinked, it is all wired together. So I'm just going to mention a few foods that do contribute to the damaging of these tight junctions. So all things deli meats, bacon, processed meats, hot dogs, that kind of stuff. And then obviously your beloved gluten, dairy, eggs, alcohol, and then refined vegetable oils, especially when heated and are oxidized. These foods all can contribute to damaging your tight junctions within the small intestine. So here are a few foods that can improve your digestion and your small intestine, that this doesn't happen with regards to the tight junctions. So that'll be like your vegetables, your root vegetables, so starchier veg, fruits, nuts, seeds, fermented vegetables, herbs and spices. And when I say nuts and seeds, I mean sprouted nuts and seeds. So this takes me on to genetics and epigenetics. So we're going to explain what epigenetics actually is to you. Have you ever heard, but my mother had insert disease's name, so I'm totally prone to getting what she had? What if I told you you inherited your genetic makeup from your parents, but you have total control of what gets projected from your genetics that you inherited? Let me explain. So the genes that you have inherited from your mother or father, genetic makeup is inherited from your parents, but you have full control over what parts of that genetic makeup gets projected and activated. So genetics load the gun, but epigenetics pull the trigger. So let's explain what epigenetics is. Epigenetics is lifestyle and diet. So what this actually means is, yes, you have your genetics that you have inherited, the genetic makeup your DNA, but your epigenetics can actually predict or activate specific genes. So your lifestyle and diet has a huge role in which genes get activated. You can switch on and off the pre-disease genetics that are inherited. So you have full control of this. You don't pass down Alzheimer's, you don't pass down an autoimmune disease or diabetes. You pass down cookbooks and lifestyle habits. Moral of the story is, don't underestimate what gluten does within the body, and also don't underestimate what gluten does within the body consumed often over time. So what do I recommend, or what do I personally do, especially if you're not celiac and you don't have severe non-celiac gluten symptoms, for the sake of your sanity, and you cannot swear off the beloved bread, and you want to be able to have a life where you incorporate these food items for it to be maintainable and doable, and like I said, your sanity intact. Keep your sanity intact. So I would remove gluten from your diet, in the sense that look at your labels, look what you are consuming on a daily basis, your spices, your sauces, all those kind of things. Removing gluten from the diet, and then knowingly, consciously, what days you would want to be consuming gluten, and actually enjoy it, and have a 72-hour break between the two. So if it's a Wednesday dinner that you're having gluten, and then your Saturday lunch, you've given your body enough time to sort of have a response, not have a response, feel how you personally feel. So say for me, I have about 1 to 2 times a week and I feel fine. Some people can only do once a week, and I know like someone like my husband cannot even do that once a week. He feels horrible. He has digestive symptoms like it's out of this world. That's why our house is predominantly gluten-free. I make sure all sauces, spices, all those kind of things are gluten-free. And then when I do want to consume something that contains gluten, I have it, and then I wait 72 hours, and then I'll have it again. And I'm still here today. So it's levels of intolerance, and know your own level of intolerance. Your genetics are not your destiny or your identity. Your epigenetics can activate your inherited diseases of the body. Also remember, not all symptoms from gluten are digestive symptoms. Not all symptoms from gluten are immediate. And remember, not everyone reacts the same way to gluten. So just to go back on what I would recommend if you're having these gluten-containing foods, to stay away from the highly processed, basically the rows in the grocery store that are in the middle, and you just got highly processed gluten-containing foods. Go towards your bakery of fresh baked goods, where you've got it's yeast, water, salt, flour, and those are the ingredients that go into like a bread. I'm just thinking bread because I love bread. So stick to things that are minimally processed. So your French baguettes, your ciabatta, sourdough, those are brilliant examples of that. And know your intolerance, and know your level of how frequent and how much you can have in one setting. Thank you so much for watching this video. I would really appreciate it if you could like and subscribe. It really does support my channel. And then we'll be doing part 3 with regards to gluten. If you have any questions, please pop it in the comments, and we will link a few of the PDFs that we have brought up today also in the description. Thank you very much. See you in the next video. Thank you.